So this property was eventually sold to a builder, and I'm going to tell you how I did that, and it was sold very quickly. It is in a quiet neighborhood. It's not a real nice neighborhood, just kind of mediocre, not a bad neighborhood, not a good neighborhood, but there weren't a whole lot of lots left. You know, there was only 2 or 3 lots in a very large, multiple neighborhoods, and there's only a couple lots left. So I happened to find this one. I made an offer to the property owner, and we agreed on a price of $2,500. This was before, like I mentioned, I had learned in the past that you don't want to offer a straight amount, because even though it's nice and clean, it doesn't really give the impression that you put a lot of thought into it. So all my offers now, I would never offer $2,500 anymore. It's more like $2,512.83. Another thing is when people read it out, the more that you have, it's like a psychological thing. It seems longer, so it seems like more, even though it's not. For example, let's say you look at it and you say, oh, they're offering me $2,500. You tell your spouse they're offering us $2,500. But if you say they're offering us $2,587.38, it takes your mind more time to process. It slows you down. It feels longer. It feels like more thought was put into it. So anyway, but I did send them an offer for $2,500. We agreed on that. I also said that I would pay all the closing costs, which is what I do, because people like to get what you tell them they're going to get. And if you don't do that, you might agree on a price like $2,500, and then you get to the closing table, and after closing costs, they're only getting like $1,700 or $1,500, and they're like, what? This isn't what we agreed on, and it turns into this thing. When you take care of the closing costs up front, then it just makes it more comfortable because they know the price that they are getting. And so the total all-in price was $3,398. That's how much I paid for this property. Now, as soon as I purchased it, what I did is I went into the property appraiser website, or I might have went into the program, the software that I used, but either way, you can go into maps, and usually you can do it on the property appraiser website. If you don't have a software program that you use that pulls up maps, you can do it into the property appraiser based on the county that you're doing. So I went into the county, I pulled up the neighborhood, and I clicked from property to property to property, and I started looking at them, and I started making a list. And what I noticed was there were a lot of builders in that area that built properties. Well, when you're looking at property appraiser information, it's all public record how much people paid for things. So I made a list of all the properties that were bought by builders or developers in the last like 5 or 10 years. And there were a lot of them. And then what I did was I went through and I pulled a list of those builders and developers. I pulled a list of all the properties they bought in the area. I sorted them and I looked for an average of what they pay for the typical property, just to make sure it was in their range. The ones that weren't in their range, like if they don't pay that much, then I would take it out. And so this property was worth probably $15,000. So what I did is I found all the builders that I thought might be interested in this property, and I made up a letter, and I think there was about 10 or 15 of them. And I did 2 things, because usually in the property appraiser website, you can find the business address, but if you can figure out who owns the business, you can also find the builder's home address. It's all public record. And so what I did was I sent these letters to the businesses, and then I also sent them to the owners of those businesses at their home address. And I got a couple calls back, but one of the calls that I got was from a large builder in the area. He never got the letter that went to his business, you know, because it goes to a secretary, it goes to whoever, it goes to the mail sorter, they look at it, they throw it out, it's junk mail to them. But at his home address, he got my letter. He opened it up, and in the letter I said, look, I bought a property in this area. I think it's worth this much, but I just want to get a quick sell. I'm a property land investor. I know that you build on lots and you're probably always looking for a good deal. Give me a call. I'd like to sell this fast. So he called me up and we were able to agree on a price, and then I sent him a contract, and it's one of the easiest sales that I ever had, because he made a decision on the phone. He said, as long as it's between this price and in this area, I'm game. He made a decision, he paid all cash, and we closed quickly, because he has reserves that he keeps for that kind of stuff, for property acquisition. We agreed on a price of $12,000, and I paid the closing costs on that, and I walked away with $11,435.42. That was a very quick sale, a very easy sale. And so what I suggest is, if you ever buy a property, look for builders in the area. As soon as you find them, sell it to them, and then click on my next video, because I'm going to go over another property that you're not going to want to miss.